Welcome to this edition of Park Hill In Depth. We are at Park Hill High School with our Superintendent, Dr. Jeanette Cowherd, and our Assistant Superintendent for Academic Services, Dr. Jeff Klein. Dr. Cowherd, we'll start with you. After overwhelming feedback, we've decided that we are not going to change start times for next year. So can you share some of that feedback?
Absolutely. Well, when you receive over 1,800 pieces of feedback and 1,100 comments, it's wise to step back and review what you did in your process. And so we just think that's the right thing to do for our community. I would say, and I would own this personally, is that we did not tell our story very well about the reasons why we were doing this and the necessity of moving forward in that direction. So we'll work on that. And so part of that is actually putting together some of the feedback that we received, which was around a lot of conversations around the sleep times and especially around the high school and those conversations. And so we've re-identified our processes, and so we put that first. So we have a committee working now on the sleep and start time combination and looking at the research of that and also identifying what is fact versus what is just the opinions that we may have as we go forward. So we're excited about that group. They're going to do their work and then provide those findings to the board on June 17th at a special board meeting. And then the board will move on forward from there as to the next steps as we move ahead to address this issue.
Thank you very much, Dr. Cowherd.
You're welcome.
Dr. Klein, you are in charge of the Sleep and Start Time Committee. So can you tell me more about the work that this group has done so far?
Yeah, so we have split our group into actually 4 different subgroups, and each of the 4 subgroups has a unique task that we've been working on. So for the first couple of meetings, our research subgroup has been reading through a variety of articles from peer-reviewed journals, and most specifically we started with meta-analysis, where we're looking at articles that summarize research from a variety of different studies. And we've been reading through those and continuing to identify our findings. Some of the key findings that we've come out early on as far as preliminary results has been that there are not very many studies actually that have the types of controls and the types of conditions that we want to really have definitive findings. But we have been able to pick up a few things that we think will be helpful to provide to our next committee as we move on. The other 3 subgroups are working on elementary, middle school, and high school logistics. So looking at the impact that the changes of moving a start time later or earlier would have on our students, parents, teachers, and our community. And so that group has been brainstorming the different possibilities as well as reading through all the survey comments that we've received through Park Hill Listens thus far to make sure that their findings really represent the facts and information from our entire community related to logistics.
What are the next steps for these different subgroups?
So the next steps is we're going to continue our work that we've been doing with the research and with looking at comments and feedback, but we're also going to be trying to finalize those by looking for evidence for each of those claims to make sure that we, as Dr. Cowherd mentioned, that what we're providing our findings is based on fact. And then we're going to provide a survey to our community, and we're going to provide some of these findings to our community and ask folks how they feel about the different options and how they would balance those options given the results and our findings.
Thank you very much, Dr. Klein. Dr. Cowherd, in closing, anything else that you would like to add?
Yes, I'd just like to point out that as we move through this process, one of the pieces that's critically important to us is making sure we have great representation. And so the second phase of this will actually be an advisory committee that we'll be having, and applications are going to be coming out at the end of June, and then we'll be selecting those people to be on this advisory committee for us. And so we'll have representation throughout the district as we do that as we move ahead. And again, I think the important part is here realizing that while we're not putting the 3-tier system in for next year, there is an impact for having that 2-tier system, and we still have a driver shortage. And so we still need to answer that question and resolve that problem for us as we move ahead. But I am convinced that as a community, we can do this together.
Thank you very much. And as always, if you'd like more information on start times, please visit parkhilllistens.com. With Paul Lewis behind the camera, I'm Samantha Fitzgerald, and we'll see you next time for another edition of Park Hill In Depth.